Hey hockey fans, welcome to Goal Line Hockey. As today we are going to continue the season outlook series as we take a look at the Washington Capitals. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe, and comment down below. Um, how good do you think the Washington Capitals will be next season? Do they make the playoffs, or do they do even better than that? Do they go on a long run and win the Stanley Cup again? So 2 or 3 years wouldn't be bad for the Caps, and they're trying to compete with Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins with the amount of cups. So they still have a little bit of a ways to go. But make sure you give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe, and let's get right into this video. Okay, so looking at the Washington Capitals, they're a pretty good hockey team, and I don't think anybody would deny that. They do have a couple of flaws, though, and we will get into that. So looking at the forwards, they've got a really good forward core, and I don't think that's going to see too much change this summer. But they are looking at a guy like Burakovsky. I think he's going to be leaving Washington from what we've been hearing. The defense is a little bit nerve-wracking to me, and we saw a guy like Michael Kempny go down. He was a really great addition last season. Who they got from Chicago, and he was a big part of that Stanley Cup winning Capitals team. But he was out of the lineup in the playoffs. He was injured, so that was a tough loss. And it seemed like the defense was a little bit out of sorts there in Washington, and it affected Braden Holtby. I don't think Holtby was at the top of his game this series, but he also didn't have the support from the defense. That like he's been used to recently there in Washington. They lost in the first round in 7 games in overtime to the Carolina Hurricanes. I believe double overtime. So, that the Hurricanes went on to the Eastern Conference Finals, so they were a pretty good team. It wasn't like Washington just got beat by some rollover team that just happened to get in the playoffs. They got beat by a pretty good hockey team there in Carolina. And that happens sometimes, and that's the way the playoffs work. It's so unpredictable, especially this year's playoffs. So, like I said earlier, Holtby, he looked okay. He didn't look super great either, and we've seen the goaltenders that have gotten their team in the final this year: Binnington for St. Louis and Rask for the Bruins. They've been really hot most of the playoffs. I don't feel like Holtby would have been able to stand up very well next to those goaltenders. He just wasn't at his 100%. Whether he was injured or just a little bit out of it, I'm not sure. But Holtby needs to come back ready for next season. You can't take this team out of the conversation quite yet. They do have a lack of depth, which concerns me a little bit. But that can be easily fixed with a couple of tweaks here and there. But that defense scares me a little bit, and you've got guys like Niskanen who could be potential buyouts this summer. You have John Carlson, which is great, but and Michael Kempny, but I'm not sure about the other guys. They just seem a little bit. We saw Christian Djoos come up a little bit. He looked okay. I wouldn't say great. They do have Lucas Johansson. He may be coming up as soon as next season, so I think they're relying on a lot of the younger guys that they have in the system to be coming up and leading the way for the Washington Capitals. So tell me, what do you guys think the Washington Capitals will look like next season? I mean, there's a team that's in a little bit of a transition, and we'll see what the team looks like. I think making the playoffs is still big for the Caps. Just staying in there, and all you need is a good run, and you're going to the finals. So as long as you're making the playoffs, Ovi has a cup, so the pressure isn't really on him as much, but I think he'd like to get a little bit closer to the Stanley Cup success that Sidney Crosby has had, because they have, ever since they were drafted, they have had a little feud with each other. So, thank you for watching us here at Goal Line Hockey. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe, and comment down below, how will the Washington Capitals do next season? Thank you for watching, and have a good day.